Welcome to the Here to Zen podcast, your new home for music, entertainment, and more. Take a break, kick back, and check out what we can bring to you. From the latest, the greatest, and everything in between. We look forward to you joining us on this musical journey. And now, let's get on with the show.
Dude, so sorry I'm a few minutes late. I'm in the middle of doing 30 things before I get on a plane tomorrow to fly to Ohio because I got shows this week in Akron and Cleveland, and I'm packing and doing 30 things. But either way, I'm here. Sorry for my delay.
All good, man. All good. And I notice you're a busy guy. You're out with Ricky Rackman doing some shows last week. How did that go?
It was great. Actually, I was in my home state of Wisconsin, and we did this thing called Tales from the Strip. And this venue put on this event where they played The Decline of Western Civilization Part 2, The Metal Years.
Yep.
And me and Ricky and I were the co-hosts. So we hosted the event. I did a little 30-minute acoustic jam with some guys. Ricky did a little chit-chat. 300 plus people watched the movie. Then afterwards, Ricky and I did a Q&A. And after that, we went and hung out and met all the fans and all that kind of stuff. So it was a real interesting thing, a little different than your typical live show or stand-up or comedy or acoustic. It was a mixture of everything thrown in with, obviously, the viewing of the documentary.
It's interesting when you watch that movie now. You know, there are some people that are in jail. There are some people that are dead. There are some rock stars that still wear wigs, and they even wore them back then. And there are some that have embraced their age perfectly. What's it work
Right.
like for you?
I have no regrets about anything. So when people show the old photos of me, I'm not sure if you're familiar. Have you ever seen the photos of me in the red towel?
Yes, the
They're
metal
real
edge
popular.
photos.
They're popular on the ha ha ha, look at this memes. But yeah, I'm wearing like a red towel, and I got baby oil on, and I'm curling these little barbells. And I was 21. I'd only been in the band a few months, and that photo shoot ended up in a bunch of magazines like Rock Hunks, Zing, Teen Machine, all these kind of, I guess I was hunk of the month is what they called it. And around the same time, I remember it was Kenny Kerner, rest in peace, Kenny Kerner, who was the editor of Rock Scene magazine and a whole plethora of magazines that were under the same umbrella. Kenny also, for diehard Kiss fans, will recall, or familiar with his name. He produced the first two Kiss records.
It sure did.
Yes, and he was very close friends with Bill Aucoin, and both of them were supportive of the band. Kenny, big time. He was very supportive, and I remember I was sitting in his office, myself and Michael, and we went to the Rock Scene offices, and this is in 1987. And he says, yeah, I'm going to have you do this and do that. And I was thinking, I don't know if I want to do that. But then he was like, I'm going to have Bon Jovi in a bubble bath. I'm going to have Mark Slaughter and Kip Winger and all these. And so I was like, okay, I can do it. And, there's a picture of Kip Winger in a G-string. I mean, and there's not a lot of G-string there. And that photo was his hunk of the month. And Bon Jovi did end up in a bubble bath, and Mark Slaughter like in a hot tub or something, wearing like, those pink pants he had on, and like in the Vinnie Vincent videos. So at first it sounded kind of a little, I felt like I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be lifting weights in a Speedo with a towel around me. Like, that sounds a little goofy, but I did it. And here we are 40 years later, or close to 40 years, like 38, I guess.
And you'll be coming down for another visit to our shores very soon. Now, it'll just be you, so you'll be probably using an Australian backing band. There's not a lot of info, but I'm going to say that's the way it's going to be.
Correct.
So is it going to be just Tuff hits or some solo stuff? What's the plan?
No, so the shows, in general, it's Trixter's first time ever coming down, and as we know, it's a three-piece. Steve Brown and PJ Farley, the classic guitarist and bass player. But Steve also sings lead vocals, and as most of us know, he's the face voice, the founder. He created that band. He started that band, I think, when he was 12 years old.
Yeah.
Steve also can sing his ass off.
Yep.
So he's doing double duty, triple duty. He's the singer, guitarist, the ringleader, great front man, great storyteller, great performer. PJ the same. And they got a drummer with him, Ben, who's a sweetheart, sings great as well. So there's great harmonies. Trixter's headlining. It's their first time down in Australia. Lorraine Lewis will also be coming from Femme Fatale. It's her first time in Australia. It's my third time in Australia. The first time I came was 20 years ago, I believe. The second, I came with the full band, myself and Mr. Todd Chase and Billy Morris. That was about 3 years ago. And now this time it's just going to be me, Stevie Rachelle, the voice of Tuff, doing pretty much a Tuff catalog. But Lorraine and I will be working with some local musicians in Australia. So upon landing, we'll be going to work in a rehearsal studio. The guys are already kind of working on our sets, but we'll get together with them a couple days before the shows, and we'll be playing with local Australian musicians. Can't wait.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned before you're always on the go. You're a man of many positions. So you've got RLS Records, plus Metal Sludge, plus a number of other things. What is a day in the life of Stevie Rachelle?
All of the above. I've got a couple of. My house is a 3-bedroom. My 3rd bedroom is my office. My garage is technically my warehouse. You
Yep.
can't put a car in there. You probably couldn't put a motorcycle in there because I have a lot of shelves, just like this one behind me. Now I've got a sun porch off my living room, which has got a weight set. So if anybody follows me on social media, you've seen me posting videos of me benching 225 or 250 or whatever it is. Got a heavy bag. I have a mannequin over here against the wall. So when I'm displaying shirts or hoodies or whatever, I do little photos with the mannequin. And then in the garage, I've got probably about a dozen shelves that are all 7 feet tall by 4 or 5 feet wide with about 15 different racks on them. So as I'm standing here, these are all releases from RLS Records. There's more of this in the garage, but so give me any record that you know of from RLS Records.
There'd probably be a Shameless one.
So right here is Shameless, Hardcore Superstar, or Hardcore Super Hardcore Show Live. This is a live Shameless CD. And probably everybody that's the diehard knows about the cheesehead thing that I did over the years,
Yep.
this thing about the Green Bay Packers. So this top shelf, this has got multiple releases. There's probably a half a dozen. These are cheesehead CDs. My solo stuff, all of my various solo releases, those are up here. Of course, all the Tuff records, what comes around Glam years. There's about, I think the Tuff catalog is up to 11 or 12. So here's CDs I pull. If I want vinyl, I've got it all broken down by color. So this
Nice.
rack is what comes around goes around purple, black, white, pink. Everyone's like probably getting bored looking at this, but the Glam years. The most recent release on RLS record is Jim Gillette's Proud to Be Loud, reissued on vinyl, colored vinyl.
Lovely.
So I do sludge today. I just put up an article a little while ago. I got a couple of orders on the floor I'm putting together that I'll mail within a couple hours. I was just finishing another interview with something local that I just got off the phone a little late, so pardon me for being a few minutes late. And at the same time, I got a TV in my living room so I can see if there's a high-speed chase on in LA. I can track it. I like
Perfect.
it.
Was there ever an act that you wanted to sign to RLS that slipped through the cracks that went on to do big things?
Well, not really. I mean, over the years, at some point, everybody that I worked with is usually somebody that was acquainted to myself or I was friends with. Wildside or Jim Gillette, and he went on to Nitro, and I did a compilation that included John Corabi's early stuff from Angora, Jailhouse, Tommy Gun, which was another local band in LA, originally from Chicago, great band. So I never set out like to say, okay, I have this crazy budget of money. Let me give it to some band and have them make a
Yep.
record. It was usually like, hey, you guys did these demos. They're sitting around. How about if we do a deal, and
Yep.
kind of coordinated it that way. The Veins of Jenna thing, the Swedish band that I managed 20 years ago, they were a brand new band. When I met them, they were only together for 6 months and only had a handful of shows under their belt. But when they came here to Hollywood and played the Whiskey at the Crew Fest in the summer of 2005, I saw them and I was like, hey, there's something here. They're new, they're young, they're raw. And just by watching them for their short set, that's what I thought. Then I went up and met them and I realized two of them were still teenagers. They just got out of high school. They were from Sweden, which was kind of interesting that they had a European flavor to them. And they were basically like Guns N' Roses and Hanoi Rocks step kids
Yeah.
that suddenly had guitars, and they went on to make a lot of noise. Obviously, it ran its course and ended after 5, 6, 7 years. Lizzie's obviously reinvented himself and come out with the Cruel Intentions,
Yep.
who are amazing. And another recent release I did on RLS was to celebrate the 15th anniversary of The Art of Telling Lies. That's available on vinyl, and it's a black or a red color. Of course, there's also the CD, and you can buy that on CD as well as the demos and a few other things from Veins of
Yep.
Jenna. So, you know, everything I put out, it's something related to, or essentially in the family with people that are pretty close to me.
Well, speaking of people that are pretty close to you, Tuff, back with Michael Lean on drums. What's the chance of new music?
Everybody always asks that, and I watch a lot of interviews and podcasts with guys that are older. I mean, and when I say older, any band that's been around for more than probably 15 years or 20 years, they've probably run through the course of that initial surge. And
Yep.
we've heard this all different ways. Like we've heard this in interviews forever. You have your whole life to write your first record, and then you have 6 months to write your second record.
Yep.
And then, a year after that, you have to write your third record. So a lot of times a band comes out, they release a first record, a second, a third, and then it kind of starts to slow down. And I say that starting with maybe the 80s or the 90s. Obviously, when you go back into the 70s, you think about a band like Judas Priest. I mean, Screaming for Vengeance was what, their eighth record or 10th?
Yep.
REO Speedwagon, probably their eighth or 10th record, High Infidelity, where they really exploded. Um, Kiss had put out a record a year. Rush had put out a record a year. Aerosmith, Van Halen. Those bands used to record in November, December. The record would come out in February or March, and they'd tour April through October for 6 or 8 months, go right back in the studio,
Yeah.
knock out a record, and 3 months later it'd be in the stores and they'd be on tour again. With Tuff, it's almost 40 years later.
Yep.
And we're everybody's in their 50s except for me. I'm in the 60 club now. Um, there are a few guys out there, a few bands who are obviously an exception to the rule. LA Guns is one of them. Hats off to Tracy and Phil, because they've been pretty busy. In the last 10 years, I mean, how many? They probably released what, 4 or 5 full-length studio records, and then like an EP, and then some other singles as well. So they've been pretty busy with that, and shout out to them. It's just not as easy. And if we ever did new music, it would probably be in spurts, like a single or two.
Yep.
Like we'd concentrate on a couple of songs and put it out as, hey, here's a new track from Tuff. But that's definitely off in the distance, because at this point, Michael has not even played show number 1 with us in full, which will take place this Friday. That
Yep.
will be his first live show with us since 1993.
So good.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of time. He did get up and jam with us, a year and a half ago at the Whiskey. Played a handful of songs. It went great. We've rehearsed with him since a few different times, full sets. And I love Michael. I love Todd. I love George as well. He's just not in the mix. So it's myself, Todd, and Michael with Billy Morris. And we have some shows coming up and looking forward to that. But new music, not really sure. We'll have to wait and see.
Cool. What's your thoughts on Twisted Stepsister?
um, I think if there's anybody to do that, it's Bach.
Yep.
Clearly, he is the guy for it. Um, and, respect to D for stepping up and saying, okay, my health is at this point. There's a lot of money on the line, but he's been told by more than one. What I've heard, it's multiple doctors. They had 2, 3, 4 specialists, do all kinds of tests, and they just said, hey, you could very well put yourself in a bad predicament here, possibly into a coffin.
Yeah.
And D is one of those guys that's just like, get the fuck out of my way, and he's pedal to the metal from the time that curtain drops until the final pyro. So he's stepping out, to the complainers out there. It's silly. It really is. Because here's the thing. All of us in the world, never mind music, all of us on this planet are going through a phase where, think about it. I'm 60 years old.
Yep.
When I was born, rock and roll was a baby. Let's say Elvis, Chubby Checker, Little Richard, let's say they created it. Well, that was in the 50s. So then we had the Beatles and the Stones and the Led Zeppelin and the Who. Okay, that's in the 60s. This stuff was all very new. And by the time I joined Tuff in Los Angeles in 1987, I'm only a handful of years into really digging into music. I've been listening to it, but playing in a band. And MTV was a baby as well. MTV was in kindergarten at that point. They dropped the first video dropped in August of 81. So by the summer of 87, it's only 6 years later. Where I'm going with this is here. In Los Angeles, there was a tribute to Jim Morrison and the Doors that was playing around the clubs. There was a tribute to Jimi Hendrix. Those guys were only dead for 12, 15 years.
Yep.
Of course, we had a couple of Beatles tributes. And at some point in the 80s, we started to see the Kiss tributes. And when I say that, it was the Kiss tributes of Kiss had long put away the makeup and the costumes. So some local guys said, let's dress up like Kiss. They made the tinfoil costumes,
Yep.
and the bad face paint and did all the crazy stuff. And the hair, the food dye in their mouth for blood. So we started seeing Kiss tribute bands in the 80s. But as time goes on, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, bands fall out of favor, guys die, they don't look the same. It's no longer the same lineup. And what established them in their heyday is now in the past. So more and more of these tribute bands have started to come alive. And also we've started to realize, like Leonard Skinner, they have a plane crash. 3/4 of the band dies in the plane crash. A couple guys survive, and they put the band on ice for the better part of 10 years. Then at some point they say, little brother is going to come out and front the band.
Yep.
The Van Zandt kid, which he was like a teenager when his brother died. I thought that was awesome. It's awesome if you can keep it in the family. And there are some of these bands, I don't know if it's Styx or REO, but some of these guys are like, hey, it's the bass player's son is now our drummer, or it's the nephew, like with AC/DC. They've done that as well.
Yep.
A lot of these guys that have stepped in are a nephew, to Malcolm or Angus. So I think the tribute bands are great. There's a lot of amazing ones out there. In America, we have, Steel Panther, which was kind of a tribute, but then they did original music with a twist, and they've had great success. Hairball out of Minneapolis, huge band, great show. The Arena Rock Show, I think they're out of Ohio. They're great. There's a lot of these guys that have turned it up and went to another level. Steve Brown, who's playing with us
Yep.
Australia. He's got a thing called Always Jovi, which he's just starting to launch it. He's been building it. It looks like it's a great production. It sounds amazing. And he's a New Jersey kid as well.
Yeah.
So he's kind of paying tribute to his roots. So I think it's a great thing. And I've done it a little bit myself once in a while. And I've said to myself, I should probably get out there and do some more shows with a tribute act to keep my pipes in shape, you know?
Yeah. There's only one thing Bart can't do now. Bitch about replacement singers.
Exactly. But no, I think he's a great fill-in, you know, and again to the complainers. When Pantera came out and decided to do this, we saw all these people bitching and they're saying it's a money grab. It's a money grab. Well, you know what? When Phil and Rex and then Dimebag's widow, Rita, said,
Yep.
let's do this. And they brought in the guy from, Anthrax on drums. They bring in Zach to play guitar, who was one of Dime's best friends. It's not just a money grab for two or three people.
Yep.
As big as that is, hundreds of people are benefiting from that.
Yeah.
Tour managers, guitar techs, bass techs, sound men, truck drivers, you name it, t-shirt companies, and the same thing is going to apply right now for Twisted Sister. It's not like JJ and Eddie are just going to go, okay, we'll take all $50 million or whatever it is and keep it.
Yep.
No, there's all kinds of guys that worked with them, friends, family, people that, guys that get hired to drive trucks and do clothing and sell merchandise at the show, and even the people that work the hot dog stands at those shows. If we take away all the tribute shows or all the bands that don't have every original member and say, you can't play a show, you can't play this venue, well, guess what? Now the venues are probably going to be 60 to 80% empty
Yeah.
because there's not a lot of bands left where all four guys are still there, or all three, or, Rush Rush is another example.
Yep.
There, Geddy and Alex brought in this woman. They're going to go on the road, and dozens, if not a few hundred people or more. And when you really go across the board, they do 50, 70, 100 shows in different countries with all the people that benefit from getting work in that town. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of people put bread on their plate, pay for the bills, pay for their rent, send their kids to school, and put gas in their car. So I'm a thumbs up on all of it.
And let's say Twisted Sister don't need the money after selling their publishing.
Right?
Yeah, they're fine. Look, they're going to make money from this, but they're doing it because they want to do it.
Exactly. And I'm sure they do want a little bit of money. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know exactly how many kids each has, but they got kids and then they got grandkids.
Yep.
Let's help the kids, send the grandkids to college. So, all the complaints about money or if it's not right or not, don't go. Stay at home.
I say that a lot rather than put the thing on your fingers on the keyboard, just stay home.
And then think of this. Who is probably, if not one of the 5 biggest rock bands on the entire planet in the last 30 years?
I could pick heaps, but there's Kiss,
Okay, keep going.
Metallica.
Metallica. Okay, stop right there. 1986, Sweden. Bus,
Yep.
accident, Cliff dies. Okay, guys, band's over. Stop. We're no longer original. Let's stop. No more Metallica. Silly. They went forward and pretty quickly brought in the guys, auditioned. Jason, you're the guy. Let's go. We're on the road. Look what they've become since the loss of a founding original member and a guy who is that important to the band, a classic era member like Cliff was. Lit, pop band Lit from the 90s. Their drummer passed away from cancer at some point, from brain cancer in the 90s. And I'm friends with those guys. And I know that, like Metallica, they at some point went forward, and a percentage of what they made, it went to Alan's family.
Yep.
and his daughter. So to all those people that say, it's not original, it's a cash grab, screw that. Those people are miserable no matter what. Those are the same people that get home and spend 30 minutes online complaining about how their order was wrong at Burger King.
Yep.
And how they'll never go to Burger King again. It's like, we don't care. I'm going to go there tomorrow and get a chicken sandwich just because you don't want me to go there. I'm going, So got to look at the positive side.
Well, as I let you go today, I am going to pull one out from the sludge classic era and ask you what rock star deserves a smack in the mouth and why.
Well, a lot of guys answered it like this back in the day, and I'll say right now, nobody, and at the same time, every one of us, because every one of us at some point have done, and I don't say us putting myself in the rock star category, even though I guess I might be in some formation or variation of being a rock star over my life, but I remember when this channel was around, it was 5, 6, 7 years, and then at some point I decided to come out and say, hey, I'm the guy.
Yeah.
Kevin DeBro was one of the first people to contact me. Very first. I mean, like within an hour of it happening. And he said, Stevie, I want to shake your hand. You put your foot so far up everybody's ass, including myself,
Yep.
and we all deserved it. Very well, sir. I want to buy you a steak dinner. And me and Kevin became even better friends over that. Over at that point. Sadly, he's no longer here, and also sadly, he never took me out for that steak dinner.
Damn.
So he still owes me. But at some point, we've all done dumb shit. People have done dumb stuff, said dumb stuff, whether it was on stage or in an interview or to a former member or somebody in the crowd. You have good days and bad days. It's just how life goes. But what's that old saying? Walk a mile in my shoes. You don't know where I've been.
Yeah.
You don't know what I did or what I experienced today. Somebody's trying to call me. Are they interrupting this? Can you still see me?
Yeah, I got you good. Oh, lost you. Welcome back.
Okay. I tried to hang up the phone. I guess that I cut you off, but if you can splice this together.
I will.
Remind me, what was the question again? Who deserves a smack in the mouth?
Yeah, you said, and your last thing was walk a mile in my shoes.
Yeah. So walk a mile in my shoes. You don't know what my morning was like or what's going on in my personal life or with my family or who cut me off in traffic. So that's why my day's suddenly a little extra irritable. And I say that not necessarily just about me or where I'm coming from, but anybody. When you see these stories about, oh, I saw Gene Simmons at the mall and I walked up to him and he didn't want to sign my stuff. I remember I was at Universal Studios. This is 20 years ago. I was with my kids and I saw Carmine Appice. I know who Carmine is. We're not friends or besties, but I know who he is. I've probably met him along the way. But he was walking with his family and had some kids, some kids or his wife or whatever. And I saw a couple people come up to him, and he just said, "I'm with my family today.
Yep.
Thank you for being a fan, but please." I saw Nikki Sixx do that online as well. There was a video of Nikki Sixx that somebody took of him, and they were following him around in the airport and trying to talk to him. And he literally had like Stormy and Decker, and they were like 12, 14 years old or something. And Nikki just said, "Hey guys, I'm with my family today. Thank you, please." And he kept walking. And they stopped, which I thought was cool. But I thought, why even share the video? He was cool about it. Nikki was respectful, as was Carmine. He said, "I'm with my family. I don't want to be stopped and interviewed with somebody holding a camera in my face as we all know what that's like trying to get, the airport's a nightmare as it is, if you're alone or even with a friend or two or the band, but never mind having a 12 and a 6 and a 14-year-old with you. And they're like, Mom, Dad, what do we do? Where do we go? And now you're supposed to stop and appease some guy's question and answer session about
Yep.
a record you did 25 years ago.
No,
You know,
I
hey, they're
completely
with their family.
understand. As someone that's got friends in some decently known bands that have had fans just stand at the window of restaurants while you eat, it's really, really off-putting.
Yeah. So when you say who deserves a smack in the mouth, nobody and everybody, you know, life in general. It's like you could say that about a workmate.
Yep.
The guy in, the guy in the other office is a dick, you know. He deserves to be smacked in the mouth because he went in the break room and made a mess and didn't clean it up. You know, he deserves a smack in the mouth. Just like any rock star does, so does the guy at Jiffy Lube and Burger King, or maybe the person at Walmart. So there's all kinds of different ways to look at that.
Australia, Stevie Rachelle is saying we all should just do better as humans. He's going to be here singing his ass off, playing tough with his friends in Trixter and Lorraine Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't got your tickets, you deserve a smack in the mouth. Get the tickets. Okay, there's our person, the person that hasn't bought a ticket. They need to get out and support. What else do you want to tell us before I let you go?
Well, do I have the dates right? Thursday we're in Sydney, right? Friday is Melbourne, and Saturday is Brisbane.
Yeah.
Am I saying them right? It's not Melbourne, it's Melbourne.
Yeah.
And
You've
it's
done well.
Brisbane, not Brisbane.
Correct. And that's where I will see you. I'll be in the Brisbane show,
Which is Saturday.
which is great. I have camera in hand as always. Looking forward to taking some happy snaps of you all. But thank you for your time, Stevie. I know it's actually a busy family day for you as well today too.
Oh, you saw that. It's my son's birthday. He's 21 years old.
It's a happy birthday to your son.
Yeah.
I'm about to hit all of the birthdays for all of my kids coming up. They start this month, so I feel your pain and feel your pleasure.
Yeah. Awesome. And I remember you and I talked the last time, right?
Yeah, and we were at the little tiny church show.
No, but I'm talking, we did one of
We did a
these
Zoom.
before.
We did a Zoom
Okay,
last
because
time.
I remember that. As soon as you clicked on and I heard you and I saw you, I was like, oh, I know this guy. We did the same. We did the interview for the Glam Fest, which was
Yeah.
probably that the shows were in January of 23. So we probably talked in November, December of 2022, right?
Yeah, and I just remember that day for you guys. It was ridiculously hot. It was cramped and tight, and everyone sort of had to play human Jenga to get in and out of backstage areas.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. You know, like I said, this will be my third time down there. I love Steve and PJ. They're great guys. I've become pretty good friends with Steve. Even I've known him forever. I've known both of them, but I've really become more friendly. Me and Steve are pretty tight the last 10 or 12 years. And Lorraine as well. She's awesome. She looks awesome. She's a sexy as hell for being the age she is. Wow, shout out Lorraine. She's in the gym every day, and I know she's super stoked to come to Australia. So if you're a fan of Lorraine Lewis, myself, or Trixter, be there. We'll be there for most of that week, and can't wait for the shows.
Awesome, Stevie. We'll see you really, really soon, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Talk to you soon, buddy.
See you, man. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Here to Zen podcast. We appreciate you spending your time with us. Remember, you can find us online at www.heretozen.com. Also follow us on social media by searching Here to Zen on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. We also have our YouTube channel and would love if you can like, share, and subscribe the episodes and hit the notification bell to stay up to date when a new episode drops. This helps us get our name out there, which allows us to bring you more great content. Once again, thank you for joining us, and from all of us at Here to Zen Magazine and Podcast, see you next time.